Right, welcome back to ICT Insights. In this video I want to show you the difference between a function and a formula. In further videos we are going to look at functions in greater detail, where you will get a greater understanding of the different functions and how they work. Alright, so in this video I have gone and created this table. It's got a whole lot of different data that I've recorded, different lessons that students have attended on particular days. Let's say this was an online school, and Sky on Friday had 15, Mary had 17, and we'll look at different ways in which we can record the highest, the average, the lowest, etc. Okay, so just looking at one or two for today. So what is the difference between a function and a formula? What is a formula? So the first thing we need to note is that you have a function button at the top over here. This is your formula bar, and if I click on this FX, it brings up this pop-up box which allows me to choose different functions. If I click on sum, you'll see in my cell C12 that I've chosen the sum function and there's an equal sign, and if I click OK, then it allows me to choose the cells that I want to add together, but we'll have a look at that in a minute. If I wanted to type in a formula, that means I manually need to go and type in the data. So I'm going to say equals, and let's say I wanted to say that cell plus this cell, and I'd get 17. If I wanted to add all these up, I could say equals. I could manually go click on this cell plus cell D4 plus the next cell plus the next cell plus the next cell, and so on and so forth. That is a laborious way, you agree, and the idea of using a Word or a spreadsheet software package is to make our lives a lot easier. Okay, so there are a number of ways of doing that. First of all, I could go along to my, well, let's just do this. I could type equals, I could type out sum, put a brackets, and now I'm going to select all these cells. This is called the cell array. I'm going to put a bracket, and I'm going to click enter, and I get 44. The other way of doing it, and you'll always see that a function or a formula always starts with an equal sign, and then we have our argument. Do we want to have sum or average, and then we have our array, the cells that we are selecting. So I make sure that I've selected these cells, D3 to D10. Always important, because sometimes the computer, depending where you've put your cursor, which cell you're in, it might give you different cells and not actually choose the cells you're wanting. So always make sure that you go and look to see these are the values that I want. Correct. Okay, and you see there's the number 44. Okay, so to recap, formula is something that you will go and type in. You will say equals, let's try this again, equals, and I might want to say that minus that cell, for example, and I get an answer. Okay, if I want to put in a function, I click on the FX bar, I can choose my functions. I've got sum. If it's not there, then you would type it in the grayed out area, type in sum, click go, there it is, click OK, choose the data or the cells that I want to add together, so that is my cell array, click OK, and I get 56. Something else that I want to demonstrate, a really nice thing about a spreadsheet, is that it has a function called autofill. So I'm going to just highlight these, Control C, put these here, Control V, and if I put in I'm going to say equals, and I'm going to say this cell multiplied by this cell, for example, 120, I might want to put a number here and actually say, instead of multiplying it by that amount, I'm going to say multiply by this cell, and I get my answer. Now, there are a couple of things to keep in mind. First of all, the autofill, if I go to my right hand side of my cell, you see there's a little green square, and if I take my cursor, it changes from a white cross to a little black cross, pull it down, and it will autofill down. Now what has happened is that the computer sees a pattern, 8 times 23, now it's going to look and say 15 times K4, 6 times K5, etc., and there we have K4, K5, but these had no numbers in. Okay. I could go put in, let's put in 15. Okay. And there's 225. I can also get the computer to recognize patterns going down when I autofill. So if I highlight these two, the computer is going to see that the difference between 15 and 23 is 8, and it's going to count in 8s going down, and you start getting minus numbers. So if I made this 15, for example, and I made this 25, and I highlight both, and I pull down, it will count in 5s going up. And at the same time, the computer saw a pattern when I said J3 times K3, it gave me an answer. I pulled this down, it autofilled, and then it went J4 times K4, J5 times K5, etc. And there's K5, and there's K4. Alright, so that's the nice thing about autofill. So for example, if I wanted to count in 3s, I had 3 there and so I had 6 there. Okay, I just want to show you this. If I've got 3 there and I've got 6 there, and I pull down on 3, it's just going to pull 3s down. But if I highlight the 2, it picks up the pattern. I'm counting in 3s. And if I put, say, 7 and 23, say, okay, and I highlight them both, they're going to count the difference between 7 and 23 going up. Another thing about autofill, if I put in the months, days of the week, and if I type it out in full, and I can put the months of the year, and I can type it out in full. And if I drag this down, it will autofill to Sunday, and we'll keep the abbreviation as I typed it. I'm going to make this slightly wider. And months of the year, and the same over here. Okay, so once again, the autofill button, if you go to the bottom right of your cell and your white cross changes to a little black cross, if I pull 15 down, I'll have 15s. I can Control Z, undo. If I change this, say, to 41, and pull these two, so I highlight those two cells, the difference between 41 and 15 will be what it counts going up. And the same over here, it will see the pattern that I've created. If I pull this down, and the computer will see 8 plus 15, 15 plus 41, 6 plus 67, etc. Right, so that's just a little bit about autofill. We've looked at what a formula is. We have physically say choose the cell C3 plus C4, and I can use a function as well. And what's important as well is when you are adding numbers together or data together, whether you're multiplying or whatever operandi you're wanting to use, that you use the cell reference. So the reason for that is over here, instead of using K3, I'm going to say J3 times, and I'm going to put in 15. Okay. Look what happens to this number now when I pull down. Okay, so now the computer's reading J4 times 15. That one times 15 each time, which is not correct. I wanted it to be 8 times 15, or I wanted rather to be J3 times K3, and then J4 times K4. But because I typed 15 and I didn't put the cell reference, the computer keeps seeing it as 15. Another thing is that if I change a number in one place, it's easier to go and simply copy down than go and physically have to type in the change each time. So what I mean by that, over here I would have had to have said J4 times 41, and over here I'd have to have gone and said J5 times 67. And as I said to you in the beginning, the idea of using a Word or a spreadsheet software program is to make our lives easier. Okay, so that is why we use a cell reference. It makes it quicker. All I need to do is simply autofill by pulling down, and it will automatically read each of these cells as cell references. K4, so if I change this to 55, that automatically updates. In further videos, we will look at the different functions in greater detail, as I said earlier, and we'll look at a bit more formula as well, and how we can manipulate formula and use formula and functions together as well.